Guests on Keel are heard via the Jack Spring Electric Keel Newsmaker hotline. Mr. Daniel Erspamer is with the Pelican Institute think tank down there somewhere in the wilds of South Louisiana. Close enough. Hey, Mr. Daniel, welcome back to Keel. So you and the governor may not see eye to eye on yesterday's coronavirus COVID-19 press conference. We're sticking with phase 2, right? What you thinking?
You know, we are. Obviously, I'm disappointed to hear that. And, you know, I know you guys know this, and folks all across your listening area know, you know, it's time to get people back to work. There's too many families suffering, too many people still without a job. And the longer we continue these restrictions on the economy, the harder it is going to be for people to bounce back.
So you think, where did the governor mess up yesterday? Where have the governor's medical people, the governor's aides, etc., where have they steered him wrong in this?
Well, listen, I want to make a couple of points. The first is I genuinely have a lot of respect for the men and women who have to make these decisions. They're hard decisions on both sides, the economic challenges and the health challenges. There are lives at risk. So we certainly understand these are challenging decisions to make. Here's the other challenge, though. If you're a public health official, your job is to see everything through the lens of the health crisis. And that's understandable. If you're the governor or you're a state leader, an elected official in charge of governing our state, your job is to bring all of those considerations to the table, the health concerns, the economic concerns, the governing concerns, and make the best decision on net. And, you know, obviously there are a lot of different issues at play, but our sense is, and I think I share this with many folks around the state, when you take everything on net, the mental health challenges, the long-term health challenges of food insecurity and housing insecurity and lack of a job, that there are ways to protect the most vulnerable from the health issues while getting people back to work. And staying in phase 2 is not the answer to that.
Okay, Daniel. Is this all politically motivated? Do you suspect that?
You know, I don't know. I hope not. I genuinely think the governor's trying to make the best decision he can, and I think he's hearing from health officials who tell him there are still significant risks. You can see some of the numbers begin to bounce back up. But here's what we have to remember, and I know you all know this, that all of these economic restrictions, the lockdowns on people's lives, were justified by saying we can't overrun the hospital system. We have to make sure we have capacity. Well, we've not only had time to build capacity and make sure we can do that, but it was clear even at the height, the worst numbers of the health crisis, we were not going to overrun the hospital system. Now that that's clear, the justification for these continued lockdowns has disappeared almost entirely, and the goalposts keep moving. I think we just have to be honest about what the objective was, and as hard as it may be, the big decision is to get people back to work and protect those most vulnerable.
Let me ask Aaron's question just from a different direction, a different angle, a different perspective. Do you think the governor's decision and the decisions made by a lot of governors across the country to keep their states on some kind of lockdown could be based on the amount of money that state gets from the federal government if they stay in lockdown?
You know, I think that's a valid question. I don't know the answer, obviously. I'm not in the room when they make these decisions, but there's a tremendous amount of money coming from the federal government. And, you know, we've talked about this before. There's always this sense that, you know, federal dollars grow on magic trees somewhere, and we forget those are our tax dollars, too. And all too often, in the case we see now, it's the tax dollars of our kids and grandkids who are going to have to pay off this debt. It's a dangerous road to go down to make decisions based on trying to maximize the amount of tax revenue we can get. And so I sure hope that's not the answer, but it is a powerful incentive when you got money flowing in like we do.
Daniel, we'll post this on our site later, but you've got a petition to get Louisiana up and going. Quoting 440 Louisianians have filed for unemployment. How much worse is that going to get now?
Well, you know, we've seen the numbers start to stabilize but plateau. So the rest of the country, especially states who have made stronger strides to open back up, have started to see people get back to work. We've seen some of that, but if you look, you can see these numbers on pelicaninstitute.org. The latest jobs reports show that we really are stuck in neutral, and if we stay in this phase for another month, as it seems like we are, our expectation is we're going to stay pretty much flat. We had another 20,000 or so people, 30,000 or so people file for unemployment just last week. This is not going to get any better until we can get people back to work.
If what happened in Tigerland hadn't happened, would the story be different today?
I wonder. I think some of these spikes, some of these challenges do drive the decisions. And you've heard the governor and others kind of scold the public for not following the rules over the last couple of weeks. My sense is that was the buildup to what this decision was going to be when it came.
Pardon me, Daniel, let me interrupt and then you can finish your answer. Scold the general public, but not protesters.
That's interesting. And when I think a lot of us, when we watch the protests going on around the state and around the country, and a number of those folks, not wearing masks and not following the social distancing guidelines, it's hard to do that when you're protesting, that's for sure. Expected to see a little bit of spike in the numbers. And, again, if people, whether they're out protesting or getting back to work or getting out into restaurants, and you expect to see some bump in those numbers. And again, if the question is, do we overrun healthcare capacity, then the answer is we have to keep opening up the economy and keep getting people back to work.